Welcome back to the channel. So you guys know we've been dealing with a HEMI tick here, and unfortunately we had to replace the engine. And I have my buddy over here, he's getting the job done. What's up, buddy?
How's it going?
This is Truck Stuff. If you don't know his channel, you gotta go follow him, subscribe.
Follow me.
Yep, follow him. So what is this right here?
This is the new Mopar reman engine.
Okay.
Just going through and putting the spark plugs in it, and I'll start bolting on all the other stuff, get the oil pan on her, timing cover on her, and then we'll get the valve covers, you know, all of the stupid stuff. Flex plate, can't forget that, that's a bad thing.
Now, is this a remanufactured engine?
Yes, remanufactured, but it's remanufactured from Mopar.
Oh, okay.
Right here is your certificate of authenticity.
Nice.
So that right there is certifying that this engine is built to manufacturer specifications.
Okay.
I have put in engines from different remanufacturing companies, and we've had problems with them. We've had problems with the MDS solenoids because they can't get manufacturer MDS solenoids. The last one that I did, I've had to go through and replace all 4 of those, put manufacturer specification MDS solenoids back in. Huh. Another big thing that we've seen on the aftermarket companies when they rebuild these engines, they don't go through and do a pre-oiling sequence on them. So the first couple times that you go to crank that engine over, it's dry.
What?
Yeah, they even tell you you have to prime up the system before you start it.
So how do you prime it? Do you have to do it manually or?
No, so you go in through one of the oil galley plugs.
Okay.
So right here is oil pressure sensor.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll go through with a hose, take the sensor out, put it in there, and you have a separate pump that actually pumps the oil through the engine.
Wow.
So after you get the oil filter on, the oil pan on, all of that good stuff, you pull this, put the hose in, start pumping it up, and when you see oil coming out of all of your rocker arms, again, they're the last part of the system that actually gets the oil. So if you got oil coming out of all of these guys, then you know you've got a full prime on the system.
Gotcha.
And it's safe to drop it in and crank her up.
So here is the old engine, and as Josh has said, this customer has meticulously maintained this engine. Sadly, unfortunately, when it comes down to maintenance, there's always a failure that you just can't foresee.
When we're dealing with parts suppliers and mass production of parts, they're still trying to save money, and unfortunately on the HEMIs, between the lifters and the camshaft, they don't get a full, complete hardening of the entire piece. They're just doing a surface hardening on it, which proves time and time and again that fails.
Yeah.
It leaves way too much to open to failure. On the aftermarket industry, we've gotten lifter sets in from companies that is still built to an OEM specification. However, we had terrible luck with those parts. In fact, every engine that we did those lifters on, very shortly after we did them, we had to take them apart and put manufacturer lifters back in there. We were a backlog of like 8 months on being able to get Mopar lifters. It was all through the pandemic.
Oh wow. Yeah, where is the camshaft and the lifter that failed? Do you still have it up here? Or is
it's
this
back in here.
Oh, it's back in there?
Yeah,
okay.
Everything is back together, but in the other video,
yeah.
So stitch that out, show a picture of that. You'll see where the number 3 intake, so this one right here, 3 intake, the lifter was totally failed. We had needle bearing loss. The lifter had seized up and ground down on the camshaft, and the camshaft is ground down to almost a round circle.
Wow, that's crazy. Now, if you want to get your Ram worked on, or if you just want to add some, you know, upgrades, like a bigger oil pump if you have the HEMI, that's something that Josh recommends. If you have a 5.7, you can go to the SRT, which gives you more volume of oil. But check this out, guys. Josh didn't have to do this. I mean, and I've noticed that some techs don't do this. He's gonna go in, degrease all this stuff. He's already started the process of it, but I'll have to show you a before. But he goes in, he cleans all this up, He's going to clean out the transmission. What's the front of that called again?
Well, you got your torque converter and your bell housing.
Okay, yeah, there you go. So he's going to clean all this up and make it all look pretty, even though the customer's never going to see this, right?
We're going to get all of that oil off of the steering gear.
Yep.
And then off of the front axle disconnect. We're going to clean those up, make them look pretty.
Yeah. That's why if you have any type of major work that you need to get done to your truck, or if you want to just add flat tappet lifters to your Cummins,
yeah,
come on in here. Like this right here, this is what I like to see. Even the radiator, there was a bunch of debris in there. There it is. You can see how dirty the shroud is and everything right here, right? He cleaned all this up, and it's going to help it to have the best cooling possible. So yeah, he cleaned all back in there. Yeah, look how clean that is. That is insane. So yeah, that's right there what I like to see when I ever have a failure. If I ever do, this is who I want working on my truck, for sure. Yeah, it's awesome. So Josh, what can people do to prevent this cam and lifter failure? There's got to be some other stuff.
If we're going to get to the aftermarket side of it, you want to get a little bit more horsepower out of your 5.7, even your 6.4. You can go to full aftermarket camshafts and lifter sets that are made for race. Now, mind you, these aren't OEM standard parts. That's the reason why I can't use them, is because they're not an OEM standard part. But if you did want to get a bigger camshaft, you got a big boat or a camp trailer that you're pulling, you want to have a little bit more power so you can make it up Harley Summit, you know, doing more than 23 miles an hour, then we can't go through and do that. Not here at this level, because of course I work at a dealership, but it is possible to be done. We can also do the MDS deletes.
Okay.
The MDS delete, again, for some people, it's a bane of the 5.7 and 6.4 existence, and that's part of the cause of a lot of the lifter failures is the MDS part of those lifters. There's actually a lock tab inside of it that has to lock in order to make that lifter start working again when it comes out of MDS mode. Those lock tabs, I've seen it a lot of times, they'll get pushed in to go into MDS mode, lifter collapses, but then they rotate. When they rotate, the lock tab can never go back to a fully locked position. So it never truly comes out of MDS mode. Wow. We end up with a cylinder misfire off of that.
Now, what broke off on this engine?
Well, the needle bearings inside of the lifter, they fail. That's that's the start of it. Once those fail, then the lash becomes more, and you end up with a lifter tick. And if you keep running it long enough, that lifter will totally fail and start grinding into the camshaft. So it's sad to say, but this tick has probably been evident, probably more so under power, but it's been evident for 10, 12,000 miles. Mm-hmm. So if your HEMI starts ticking, get it into the doctor. Maybe you can get away with just doing a camshaft and lifter and not having to replace your whole engine.
Gotcha. Yeah, what you guys are hearing basically is these engines have gotten so advanced, and one thing I've noticed about Stellantis, Ford, GM is they pretty much stopped caring about the V8s. I mean, when was the last time you heard an update on the V8 for GM? When was the last time they done a major overhaul on the HEMI? Hasn't happened, right? So
2013, no, 2009.
2000, yeah.
When they got away from EGR and started going to MBS and VVT.
Right. So with that being said, they've kind of let these engines go by the wayside because, as you know now, you have the Hurricane, you have the EcoBoost. So everyone's going to a V6 style engine or inline six-cylinder engine, and that's where all the R&D has gone to. Whereas these engines, they probably can have been made reliable over time, but there was this push to push out big V8s for whatever reason, and this is why we're having these issues, is because they just haven't done enough research and development to make them more reliable. I'm willing to bet you, like you said, if they were to take off MDS, the GM engines have the AFM, DFM, which is the same situation where
fuel management.
Yeah.
You know, whether you're canceling out or MDS is multi-displacement, AFM, air fuel management, it's all the same thing.
Yeah.
They're just cutting it from a V8 down to a V4.
Yeah.
In order to have less fuel running through the engine because you're only powering up certain cylinders.
Yeah.
So You know, that technology's actually been around since the early 1900s.
Really?
Cadillac started that, where they were able to grind down, custom grind camshafts to where they could run that cylinder in, God, what was it, 12-cylinder mode or 6-cylinder mode. And I did oil field for a whole lot of years, and you get like a Series 2000 Detroit, you fire that up, that's a V12. You fire that up, it fires up on 4. And it starts going through a process, 4, 6, 8, and then all 12. And it sounds wicked. When it's 20 below outside and you light up a Series 2000, it's impressive.
Yeah, well, that's awesome, man. Well, hey, I appreciate you, brother. This is awesome. I learned a lot. Hey, guys, I'm learning a lot here. So bear with me. But at the end of the day, if you haven't had a chance to go over to Truck Stuff, he's doing videos over on that side too. Great stuff. So be sure to subscribe to his channel. And yeah, man, let me know when you have another one.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
And
bro.
if any of you have any recommendations of content you would like to see, let me know. And when I get a truck in that I can actually make some content on for that, I will.
Yeah. If you have a hurricane that blows up, ship it over here, please.
I want to tear one of them apart.
All right, let's do it.
Yeah.